Commander Alara Voss stood at the helm of the Aegis Prime, her gloved fingers hovering just above the glowing controls. The bridge hummed with the low thrum of the ship's fusion core, pulsing in rhythm with the heartbeat of the station itself. Outside the massive viewing port, Earth floated like a silent guardian, pale blue and serene against the black void. It was a view Alara had seen countless times, but today it felt distant, like a memory she could no longer trust. Behind her, a group of officers stood in quiet formation, their pristine white uniforms catching the icy sheen of light from the data panels. Lieutenant Aryan Rourke, her second-in-command, moved her aside, his voice low and crisp. "We confirmed the anomaly's origin. Sector Theta 9. Deep space. No known traffic in the last 3 cycles." Alara didn't respond immediately. Her gaze remained fixed on the feed, where static flickered over the grainy image of a derelict object tumbling silently through the dark. No signal, no transponder, just a shape twisting slowly on its axis, like something long forgotten or never meant to be found. "What do you make of it?" she asked finally, her tone neutral, though her eyes narrowed ever so slightly. "It's not on any Alliance registry," Rourke replied. "The design doesn't match any known vessels. And the material signature," he hesitated, "it's off the charts. Unclassified alloy. If it is a ship, it's not from any system we've mapped." That was the problem. Nothing about the object made sense. The Alliance prided itself on order, cataloging every vessel, station, and satellite within controlled space. This thing, whatever it was a violation of that order. A ghost in the machine. Alara turned from the window and walked toward the central console, where Ensign Tala Nadir monitored the object's telemetry. The young officer, sharp-eyed and quick, barely glanced up as she spoke. "It's holding position now, Commander. No visible propulsion. No heat signature. But it's there. It's watching us." Alara's brow lifted. "It's watching us." Tala flushed slightly. "I mean, it's just a feeling. But when I was running the spectral scans, I got this weird interference, like it adjusted itself, as if it knew we were looking." Rourke raised an eyebrow. "You think it's alive?" "No," Tala said quickly. "Not alive. Just aware." The silence that followed was heavy, broken only by the hum of equipment and the occasional blip of proximity sensors. Then Alara spoke again, her voice firm. "Prepping away, team. Rourke, you're with me. Nadir, you're on comms. Keep a tight beam focused on the object. I want real-time updates if anything changes." Rourke nodded and turned to relay orders. Within minutes, the bridge was alive with motion. Officers moved with precise urgency, suiting up, checking gear, locking down systems. The Aegis Prime began its slow rotation to align with the object, its stabilizers whispering against the silence of space. As Alara moved to the launch bay, her thoughts drifted, not to the mission, but to the message she received only hours before. A secure ping from Admiral Severin, her former mentor, long since retired. "Whatever's out there," he had said in the brief, coded message, "don't trust it. We buried this for a reason." But there were no records of what this was. Nothing in the logs. No incident reports. No mission files. Only the coordinates and the anomaly. The transport vessel detached from the ship with a hiss of pressure release. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Rourke sat across from Alara, his helmet in his lap, eyes scanning the diagnostics. "You think this is a trap?" he asked. "If it is," Alara replied, "it's a very patient one. They made contact with the object within an hour. It was larger than expected, roughly the size of a mid-class freighter, but its surface was strange. No markings, no visible seams. Just smooth, obsidian metal that seemed to absorb the light from their flood lamps." Alara approached first, her boots touching down with magnetic grip. Her breath caught as she looked closer. The surface wasn't just smooth, it was shifting, subtly, like liquid metal holding form. "Commander," Rourke said over comms, "getting some unusual readings. Internal architecture's not consistent. The scans keep redrawing. It's like the layout's changing. Like it's adapting," Alara murmured. "They found an entrance, an opening that hadn't been their secans before. A circular iris peeled open silently, revealing a corridor that glowed faintly from within. There was no sign of life, no heat, but the corridor pulsed with something deeper, a hum that vibrated in their chests. "Record everything," she ordered and stepped inside. The walls were unlike anything Alara had seen. Organic, almost, with strands of light running like veins through an alloy that felt alive. They walked slowly, careful not to disturb anything. No debris, no evidence of occupation, but impressions in the floor suggested something. Someone had walked here before. Deeper in, they found a chamber. At its center stood a pedestal, and on it, a sphere. Floating, rotating slowly. Symbols shimmered across its surface, none of them readable, none of them familiar. But Alara knew, instinctively, that it was the heart of whatever this was. "Commander," Rourke said, frowning at a scanner, "I think it's transmitting." Alara stepped forward. To whom? Before he could answer, the lights in the chamber dimmed. The sphere brightened, then projected a cascade of light into the air. Images, voices, a flood of data none of them could decipher. Then a single word in perfect standard filled the chamber. Return. The word echoed in Alara's skull. Not just heard, but felt, deep, invasive, ancient. Tala's voice crackled over the comms. "Commander, we've got a problem. Systems on the Aegis are fluctuating. Gravity's destabilizing. We think the object is interfacing with the ship." Alara didn't hesitate. "Evac, now!" As they raced back through the corridor, the structure began to change. Walls closed behind them. Lights flickered and shifted to red. The object was waking up or reacting. Either way, it was no longer dormant. They barely made it back to the transport. As they disengaged, a surge of energy burst from the object, sweeping through space in a silent shockwave. The Aegis Prime buckled, but held. Systems flickered, then stabilized. The object, however, began to move, slowly at first, then with purpose, not away from them, but toward Earth. Back on the bridge, Alara stood motionless, watching as the object changed course. Her crew waited, watching her for orders. But her mind was already moving ahead, connecting fragments from the past. Severin's message, the buried mission, the sealed records. She turned to Rourke. "That wasn't the first time we found one of these." He stared at her. "You knew?" "I suspected, but now I'm sure." Her voice was low. "Whatever this thing is, it's not alone." She walked back to command deck, her eyes locked on the feed, where Earth grew closer by the second and the object sailed forward like a herald of something long buried, and no longer willing to stay that way. The object decelerated as it neared Earth's orbital edge, drifting into a fixed geostationary position above the Pacific expanse. 1,000 satellites silently redirected their arrays, attempting to probe, scan, and decipher, but none could penetrate its surface. Every transmission bounced back, scrambled, or simply vanished, absorbed into the unknown alloy like whispers into a void. Commander Alara Voss paced the dim-lit strategy chamber aboard the Aegis Prime, her hands clasped behind her back. The officers around her waited, tense and alert, a storm of unreadable thoughts passing between them in glances and furrowed brows. The chamber's central display cast blue light across their faces, illuminating the object now marked as Anomaly 0. Admiral Severin's transmission had been rerouted through emergency protocols, and though the image was grainy, the man's voice was sharp as ever. "You made contact. Tell me exactly what it showed you." Alara leaned forward, palms braced against the console. "A chamber, seemingly reactive to our presence. A sphere with unknown symbols and a projected directive. Return." The energy pulse that followed appeared to interface directly with our systems. Severin exhaled slowly, rubbing his temple. "Then it's confirmed. You found one of the vaults." Rourke, standing at Alara's side, stepped forward. "Vaults? As in plural?" "There were 7, Severin said, voice hollow. "One was destroyed in orbit around Dion. Another went dark in the Vatra corridor. We covered them up every time. Too dangerous. Too destabilizing. But this one wasn't dormant. It activated. That means someone or something gave it permission." Tala, monitoring from the secondary terminal, swiveled her chair slightly. The directive said return. Return what? Severin's silence stretched too long. Illyra broke it. What was inside them, Admiral? He shook his head. Not a what, a who. The vaults were prisons, built for entities we didn't understand. Built long before we were meant to find them. But something's changed. The SEAL protocols shouldn't have failed unless they were sabotaged, Illyra finished, ice threading her voice. I'm dispatching the Odyssey Ark and 2 carriers to your position. Until then, containment is your priority. Do not, under any circumstances, allow that thing planetfall. The transmission cut. No pleasantries. No good luck. Illyra turned to Rourke. How long until the Odyssey reaches us? 18 hours at full burn. We don't have 18 hours. On the main screen, Anomaly 0 remained inert, or so it seemed, but data suggested otherwise. Minute shifts in energy frequency, expanding heat patterns. Its internal temperature had risen 5 degrees in the past hour, like a heart beginning to beat. She knew it now. The object wasn't moving toward Earth by chance. It had remembered something, or someone, and it was coming home. Commander, Tala called, voice tight. We've got a new signal. Surface level. Origin Antarctica. Illyra and Rourke both turned. It's not military, Tala continued. Private facility. No known transmissions until now. But it's pinging the object. Identical frequency. It's a handshake. Rourke's mouth tightened. Someone's waking it up. Who owns the facility? Illyra demanded. Tala hesitated. It's buried under layers of shell corporations, but I traced the trail. Name at the top of the chain is Darien Voss. The room fell into a hush. Illyra stared at the screen, unmoving. Her brother had vanished 6 years ago, presumed dead in a classified mission deep within the Helion Rift. No remains recovered. No black box. She drew a breath, slow and deep, keeping her voice even. Prep a stealth transport. I'm going down there. Rourke moved closer, voice lowered. Illyra, if this is a trap. Then I need to walk into it, she said. No one else will know how to get through to him. If he's alive, if he's sending signals, he knows what this thing is, and he knows why it's here. The transport descended through dense cloud cover into the white abyss below. Snow battered the hull like bullets. Antarctica stretched beneath them, a land of frozen silence. But nestled within the wasteland, partially buried under engineered camouflage, the facility came into view, hexagonal structures forming a pattern too precise to be accidental. They landed a half-kilometer out. Illyra moved swiftly, cloaked in an adaptive suit that muted her signature. She descended into the crevasse alone, her heart pounding in sync with each silent footstep. The entrance appeared suddenly, an obsidian archway framed in etched glyphs she recognized from a vault. It wasn't human design, at least not originally. The doors opened as she approached, hissing like a breath drawn after centuries of silence. Inside, heat, artificial, controlled. A corridor of dark alloy led her deeper, walls humming with low energy. Then, at the end of the hall, a room opened, circular, lined with terminals, monitors, strange devices she couldn't name. And standing at the center, back turned, a figure. Darien, she whispered. He turned. Time had not been kind. He was thinner, paler, beard unkempt, eyes sunken yet burning with clarity. But he smiled when he saw her. Illyra, he said softly, you came. She stepped forward, half in disbelief. You're alive. I had to disappear, he said, to keep them from stopping me. Stopping you from what? He gestured to a terminal, where Anomaly 0 rotated slowly in a three-dimensional model, from unlocking what they sealed, from ending the lie we've lived under. Darien, people have died. We nearly lost the ship. That object is not a tool, it's a threat. It's only a threat to the old order, he replied, eyes glinting. The vaults don't just contain, they remember. They hold what came before the Council, before the Alliance, before us. Illyra's voice cracked like a whip. You're making excuses for something you don't understand. I do understand. Darian's voice rose. I've seen it. I made contact. The entity inside, it showed me the truth. This galaxy has been rewritten. Its history purged. The vaults aren't prisons. They're tombs for memory. And if we let them wake, they'll rewrite what was erased. And you think that's worth the cost? Alara stepped closer. You're gambling with 8 billion lives for truth? His expression shifted. Not anger. Not remorse. Something sadder. I knew you wouldn't understand. Not yet. Without warning, the walls pulsed red. An alarm. Darian spun toward a console. They're trying to override the link. From orbit. They're going to shut it down. Alara moved quickly. Then stop it. Tell them to disengage. I can't. He looked at her, eyes suddenly haunted. It's already awake. And it's listening to you now. In orbit aboard the Aegis Prime, the anomaly stirred. Its surface rippled like disturbed water. The symbols on its hull flared to life. In the command deck, Tala stood frozen as a voice, impossible, immense, echoed to the ship systems. Return acknowledged. Identity confirmed. Ilara's voice whispered over the comms. I didn't activate anything. Tala responded, shaken. It wasn't you. It was the object. It just recognized you. Back in facility. Ilara turned to Darian, but he was already backing away, face-stricken. What did you do? She asked. I didn't do anything, he whispered. But you must have been there. In the beginning. You must have been part of it. The room trembled. The vault in orbit began its descent. The descent of the vault was slow, deliberate, as if Earth's gravity wasn't pulling it down, but inviting it home. From the command deck of the Aegis Prime, Rourke watched the trajectory lines tighten, sharpening into inevitability. His hands hovered over the control interface, but he knew instinctively that firing on it would be meaningless. It had ignored every weapon they'd tested, absorbed energy like oxygen, and returned nothing but silence. Behind him, Tala's voice broke through the static tension. We've traced the signal's convergence point. The object isn't just coming down randomly. It's targeting the facility. Then Ilara is in the landing zone, Rourke said, jaw tightening. We need to get her out now. Too late for that, Tala replied. Impact in 12 minutes. Far below, within the ice-entombed facility, Ilara stood frozen in front of a circular console now glowing with the same ethereal symbols etched into the vault's hull. Every line, every glyph pulsed in cadence with her heartbeat, sinking to her as though she were a missing piece finally returned to its socket. She could feel something inside her shift, a memory that wasn't a memory, a whisper that didn't need words. Something old, patient, and painfully familiar. Darian stepped back, watching her like a man watching the sunrise over a battlefield. It's not just recognizing you, he said softly. It's responding to you. I'm not part of this, she said, though her voice sounded hollow in her ears. I didn't choose this. You don't have to choose, Darian said. You were chosen, long before you were born. She turned to him, fists clenched. By who? Darian hesitated, then spoke as if afraid the truth would fracture reality itself. By the ones who built the vaults, the precursors. Their memories were sealed away, fragmented, placed into hosts, humans, unknowingly carrying pieces of something they couldn't comprehend. You're one of them, a key bearer. That's why it activated. Ilara reeled back. No. I've served 20 years in the fleet. I've bled for Earth, for the Alliance. I'm not a vessel for ghosts. And yet, Darian whispered, the vault came to you. A tremor shook the facility, brief but deep like the planet itself drawing breath. Above them, the vault was breaching the upper atmosphere, its heat signature warping sensors and weather alike. Storms bloomed around it like petals, unnatural in formation and eerily symmetrical. Ilara stepped away from the console. We're getting out of here. Whatever it wants, it can't have me. You don't understand, Darian said, following her. If you leave now, the vault won't stop. It'll search, follow, destroy anything in its path until it finds you again. You can't outrun this. Then we destroy it. He laughed bitterly. You can't destroy what you don't understand. The vaults aren't just machines. They're memory engines. And they've been waiting for someone like you. Before she could answer, her comlink crackled to life. Tala's voice, tight and rapid. Commander, atmospheric breach confirmed. Object is descending toward your location. Extraction impossible. We're initiating planetary broadcast to evacuate surrounding sectors. You have 10 minutes before impact. Alara turned to Darian. How do we stop it? He hesitated again. Darian, she growled. There's a chamber below, he said. The original interface. I never accessed it, not fully. It might give you control if it accepts you. Without another word, Alara sprinted toward the lift, Darian close behind. The descent felt endless, the walls narrowing as they plunged deeper into Earth's crust. The ancient metal around them seemed to hum in anticipation, echoing her thoughts. At the base, the lift doors opened onto a chamber unlike anything Alara had seen. The architecture bent geometry. Walls curved in ways that defied perspective. Light bled from stone like liquid, and floating orbs hovered in symmetrical patterns, all rotating around a massive crystalline core. Within it, shapes moved, too fast, too alien to be defined. As she stepped forward, the orb shifted position, creating a path. The core pulsed brighter. It was waiting. She turned to Darian. If this goes wrong, I'll seal the chamber, he said. Keep whatever it releases from reaching the surface. But you won't fail. You can't. Alara approached the core, her heart a drumbeat of thunder. She extended her hand. Contact. A blinding rush of heat and light swallowed her. Her breath caught, then vanished, along with her body. She stood in a place beyond time. A great expanse stretched infinitely, filled with fractured stars and drifting ruins of cities long dead. Voices echoed all around, fragments of language, emotion, memory. She felt each one pierce her mind. Joy, despair, love, war, rebirth. And at the center of it all, an eye, not of flesh, but of pure awareness, vast and knowing. You are the vessel. The voice boomed inside her. You carry what was stolen. Return it, and the cycle may be broken. I don't understand, she said aloud. What was stolen? Us. Memory. Identity. The foundation of all things. They erased us to build their false peace. You are the last remnant, the final witness. No, she whispered. I'm not a weapon. I'm not your tool. You are choice incarnate. That is why you were chosen. Decide Alara Voss. A wave of energy burst outward. The vault, mid-descent, halted in the sky above the facility. The clouds parted in a perfect circle. All systems aboard the Aegis Prime blinked offline, then rebooted, waiting. Inside the chamber, Alara gasped, collapsing to her knees as light fled the crystal. Darian caught her before she fell completely. She looked up at him, dazed. I saw them, the ones before us. We didn't begin civilization. We inherited it. And we destroyed the truth to maintain the lie. What did you tell it? He asked. I didn't tell it anything, she whispered. I felt it, and now it's waiting. Above them, the vault hovered motionless in the sky, casting no shadow despite its mass. It did not land. It did not flee. It simply remained, watching. In orbit, Rourke stared at the image, brow furrowed. It stopped. Tala looked at him. Is that good or bad? I don't know, he replied, but I think the next move is ours. Below, Alara stood again, stronger. A tremor passed through her, not of fear, but of realization. The vault had given her the truth. Now came the harder part, deciding what to do with it. The vault did not move, and neither did the world beneath it. For 3 full days, it hovered in perfect stillness above the polar region, a silent sentinel suspended in the sky. No wind disturbed its outline, no tremor echoed from its weight. It defied physics, logic, and every known law the fleet had built its understanding upon. Yet it remained unarmed, unmoving, a question carved in metal and time. Inside the command deck of the Aegis Prime, Rourke watched the feeds in silence. He hadn't left his post since the descent halted, his uniform wrinkled at the collar, his face hollowed by sleeplessness. He traced the vault's outer ridges on the holographic model. zooming in until the lines dissolved into nonsense. No entry points. No energy emissions. Just the quiet thrum of potential. Tala approached, 2 mugs in hand. Caffeine or the stronger stuff? Rourke glanced at her, then back at the display. Do we still have a line to Alara? Tala offered him the mug. Encrypted, but stable. She checks in every 6 hours. And she's not the same, Tala said, voice low. Not exactly. Her vitals are human, but the neural patterns, they're augmented. The medbay can't even classify some of the activity. Rourke took a slow sip, gazed distant. She's carrying it. Tala nodded. Whatever it is. Below the surface, in the ancient chamber beneath the vault's resting point, Alara stood at the center of the crystalline core once again. This time, it did not flare to life. It simply pulsed in resonance with her presence, like a heart syncing with its counterpart. She no longer flinched at the alien architecture or the impossible geometry of the chamber. She understood it now, not fully, not yet, but more than she'd ever thought possible. Darian stood at the edge of the platform, watching her without interrupting. He no longer spoke in riddles. Whatever veil had once clouded his intent was now gone, burned away by the clarity that only proximity to revelation could provide. You're merging with it, he said. I'm remembering. Alara corrected. Same thing. She turned toward him, her eyes catching the soft silver light of the floating orbs. You've known this longer than you let on. I suspected, he admitted. Not everything. Just enough to know I couldn't stop it. Only guide it. And if I reject it, she asked. Then the vault waits, he said. For another you, in another time. The thought chilled her more than the sub-zero air outside. Not because it meant her role could be filled by someone else, but because it meant this cycle had played out before, that humanity had danced the same path and failed to hear the music. Again and again, Alara placed her hand on the crystalline structure. Immediately, the chamber reacted. A ring of glyphs flared outward, forming a spiral around her. Above, the vault shifted, barely, but enough to be detected by every sensor in orbit. Rourke leaned forward as the readings changed. It's reacting. Confirm with ground team. Before he finished, Alara's voice broke through the encrypted channel, sharp and composed. Captain, I'm initiating the interface protocol. What does that mean? He asked, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. It means I'm going to see what they saw, she said. What the precursors died trying to preserve. Alara, that's not protocol, Rourke said. We don't know what that kind of connection will do to you. We also don't know what happens if I don't, she replied. Stand by. She stepped into the spiral of light, and the floor beneath her dissolved, not physically, but perceptually. One moment, she was standing in a subterranean chamber. The next, she was drifting in open space, surrounded by memory. Planets rose and fell around her, ancient empires blossoming like galaxies before collapsing into silence. She saw wars waged not with weapons but with time itself, civilizations who could fold stars like paper. And always the same conclusion. The search for meaning, the fear of entropy, the desperate clawing for permanence in an impermanent universe. You are the final archivist, the voice told her. Ours is not your burden to carry, but you were made to remember, to choose. She stood at the center of a hall of mirrors, each reflection showing a version of herself. Soldier, scientist, traitor, martyr. The paths were endless. But only one bore the mark of survival. The vault was not a weapon. It was a library, a warning, a gift wrapped in extinction. And now it was awake. The memory ended abruptly, casting her back into her body with enough force to make her stagger. Darian caught her again, but this time she pulled away with purpose. I know what it wants now, she said, breathless. It's not here to destroy us. It's here to offer choice. Then what's the choice, he asked. To evolve, she said, or be replaced. She touched the core again, and this time it opened, not physically, but perceptually. Data poured into her mind. Blueprints, coordinates, a map of a network of vaults scattered across the stars, dormant and waiting. A web of knowledge connecting galaxies, designed to awaken only when a species reached the brink of annihilation or enlightenment. Earth had reached the brink. The vault had chosen to reveal itself. Now, she had to decide what to do with the knowledge it offered. Back on the Aegis Prime, Rourke watched the vault's position shift again, this time slightly ascending, drawing energy from an unseen source. Its hull shimmered like liquid starlight. "It's moving," Tala said. "Toward what?" Rourke asked. Tala paused. "We just received a data burst. It came from the vault, but was routed through Alara." He turned to her. "What kind of data?" She blinked. "A star map and a message. The path is open." The comlink crackled again, and Alara's voice came through, calm and resonant. "I have coordinates," she said, "and a warning. We are not alone. We never were. The precursors left us behind prepare us for what comes next." Rourke stood slowly. "What comes next?" Her voice lowered, almost reverent. "The return of the architects and their judgment." The vault ascended silently. No flames, no thunder, just a whisper across the stars. It took its place above Earth like a star reborn, and in its wake, every dormant satellite and dead probe beyond Neptune stirred to life, as if pulled from slumber. The countdown had begun, and humanity had only just remembered to look up